So welcome back. This is part 3 and the wrap-up of my chat with Karen M. Winkelman, who is an intuitive consultant for your life, career, and business, and a co-author of the new book, From Resilience to Brilliance. In the book, Karen writes about how she was cast adrift in a sea of change when the career she spent so much time nurturing was ripped away by a corporate decision to downsize. Today, we're going to hear about how she picked herself up and dusted herself off and began again. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, and this is a part of my continuing series of interviews with women who have inspiring stories to tell and who are role models for those of us who are watching them. And they're teaching us how to thrive. So hi, Karen.
Hi, Maria.
Thanks for coming back with me. I am sure that there are many lessons that you learned as you went through this ebb and flow of emotions from losing your career. So would you tell us how losing your previous career and embarking on the new business taught you more about who you are and what you want now?
Oh, sure. I'd be happy to share that. Towards the end of my corporate career, I started to over-identify with the job that I had and using that as a yardstick to measure my own value. And so when the landscape there was changing, I kept feeling I had to jump through more hoops and prove my worth. And so after that was over, and I started 2 businesses without giving myself the time I needed to really move through some of the emotions that I was feeling, and also the physical burnout, physical and mental burnout, because I have a habit of dropping into a workaholic type of behavior, and my mother would jokingly say that I don't burn the candle at both ends. I burn the candle at both ends and the middle. Mm-hmm. So here's this personality now trying to build a successful business on shaky ground of not feeling confident, feeling insecure about who she is, what she wants, and how to go back to who doing her, so being Karen again, what does that look like? Because Karen was doing something else. And so since I had taken on the mantle of trying to prove myself in the swan song days of that last job, I found myself trying to do that in the businesses I was starting. This is not a good way to start a business, by the way.
Right.
When you're setting out to try to prove something, especially when the proving you're trying to do is your own worth and value.
So what's the lesson?
So the lesson is that I took away from all of that is that, one, I want to thank anybody that worked with me in the early days, because you were helping me more than you realized. You were helping me to get clear about what Karen really wanted and what she was willing to do. And she wasn't, some things I was taught by the people who showed up to be clients in that this is not what I want. This is not what I want to do. This is not how I want to interact with the world, because I'm still trying to prove my value and overgiving. And so what my takeaway from that is that your value is intrinsic to who you are. You came in with that. There's nothing that happens outside of you that ever will change that. You have value because you exist, you have value. And coming to a place of being acceptant of that and not trying to constantly prove myself. Does it still show up? Yes. It shows up a lot less, though. So that would be the first takeaway, is stop trying to prove that you are worth it to somebody else.
So it's like figuring out how not to worry about what other people think.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Being
So,
validated from the outside is not necessarily what we should be looking for, right?
that's true. That is absolutely true. We seek validation, or many of us seek validation. I was one of those who sought validation from the outside. So if you liked me, therefore I must be okay. I must be likable.
Yeah.
And that's not true. That's not true. The only person who has to like you is you.
Right.
And the only person that you have that's going to be with you from birth to death is you.
Mm.
So learning to accept yourself as you are, and then realize that other people are going to respond to you either as a mirror to show you where you're out of alignment with your own core values, or they're going to show you your brilliance. They're just being mirrors for you.
Yeah.
They're not giving you anything you don't already have.
Yeah. You know, Karen, it's so important to share that. And it is one of the hardest things for those of us who are human to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I run into it all the time with my clients. I'm sure you do with yours as well.
Yes.
I struggled with the same thing when I was laid off after I was, my last corporate gig lasted almost 20 years. And it hit me like the rug was just pulled right out from under me. And I landed on my backside really, really hard. And I think I had a concussion. It happened.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that who we are
Mm-hmm.
and standing in that power,
Mm-hmm.
it was a big lesson for me as well. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Me too.
Yeah.
It helps tremendously when you get that.
Well, it's like going back to the basics, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I spend a lot of time helping my clients do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you do the same, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I do. And, they do say that you best teach what you needed to learn.
That's right.
And I think that's also because when you have gone through it, you can speak to it from a place of authenticity, where somebody who hasn't gone through that can't really relate. It becomes more of a conceptual thing rather than a visceral thing. And the other really powerful takeaway, and this is one that I'm still struggling with, is taking care of yourself. Taking care of yourself, and I have always been one to jump in and be there for other people. I had never been taught to do it for me, to take the time out, and I didn't take time out, and I absolutely should have taken time out. And I'm not really big about shoulding on myself, but this was an imperative. If I had taken a break and allowed myself time to really go through the motions, process what I was feeling, and be in silence, be in nature, refill my well, I wouldn't have made as many of the mistakes and trip ups and made things more difficult and more of a struggle for myself had I given myself the time to really heal.
Yeah.
And so I can't stress that one enough, especially for women who are A-type personalities and they're used to being the superwoman and thinking they can get it all done. They can do everything. You cannot do everything. You are not the supreme being. You cannot do everything. So if you take yourself down to the carpet because you're busy helping others and trying to show that you've got it all handled, how are you helping anyone? And if you happen to be a parent, which I'm not, except for fur babies, that's the example then you're setting for your kids, that you don't matter. Other people matter more. So if you want to change that in your world, because I'm sure if you're always doing things for others and you're not allowing yourself to receive the same support and help or even ask for it, then you're depriving them of the ability to be of service. And you're also, you're depriving yourself of having a more balanced and fulfilling life, because you're never giving yourself permission to fill your own well.
Right. And I believe
you always feel, maybe not always, but very common feeling is when you're an overgiver, you fall into resentment.
And I believe, just to add on to what you were saying, I believe that when we are giving from an empty cup, I like to use the analogy of the teacup, the beautiful saucer underneath it. When we're giving from an empty cup, we're not giving our best selves,
No.
right? If we continue to fill our teacup and fill it until it overflows and give from the overflow, then we're giving of our best selves, and we are our best selves. Yeah, that's so important. So you've left us with two great takeaways. Learn to love yourself and be and know that you have value, you have worth, and you are worthy.
Yes.
And to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself enough so that you can do and be your very best self. Love those takeaways. So Karen, I know that people are going to want to get in touch with you because they're going to latch on to some of the stuff you've been sharing with us. So would you please tell us how our listeners can best reach you?
Well, my website is a great way to reach me, thelifecraftingguide.com, and there's a contact page in there as well. You can get a little bit more information there. And on Facebook, if you happen to be on Facebook, my page is Karen M. Winkelman, The Life Crafting Guide. Perfect.
So you can reach, and those will be at the bottom of the screen in case you missed what Karen said, so you can mark those down. Karen, I have thoroughly enjoyed this little chat with you. You and I have had a number of chats over the last year, and I have been so excited about doing this interview with you and sharing it with others. So I want to thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure is all mine. It's been a delight to do this interview with you, and thank you for bringing out some of this stuff that I think it's important to get out there.
Yeah, I agree. It is my it's kind of my mission, so I appreciate it. And I hope our viewers will also get a copy of this book that Karen has co-authored. It's called From Resilience to Brilliance, and you're going to want to read Karen's full story, Cast Adrift in a Sea of Change. So the book will be available on Amazon in July, so depending on when you visit this video, it might be before or after that. It is my deep desire for these conversations to help others know that they're not alone. Many of us have gone through similar experiences to Karen's, and we're here to help. So I believe it's our time to thrive, and I would love for you to join me on that journey. Till next time, I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan.